Welcome back, everyone, to Hearthstone Grandmasters. It is the final day of our first week of the round robin group stage here of season 2. Today is September 6th, 2020. Now, on this day in history, it was the first episode of Star Trek that aired on television, which, of course, even though it just ran for a few seasons, TJ is one of the most popular television brands in entertainment industry, right behind, of course, Hearthstone Grandmasters.
That's right. That's right.
Entertainment.
Shall bring victory.
What was the first date of Hearthstone Grandmasters? Was it like April?
It was April in 2019. I have to go and look at the exact date, but it was
We need to
very
make sure
very
we
soon.
keep up with it.
Yeah, actually, I think it would have been May because April I thought also was when Rise of Shadows had released, and then we had the World Championships.
Yes.
Which was also quite a trip, but alas, the entertainment has already begun, TJ. We have 2 players from Canada, a rivalry almost as deep as Captain Kirk and friends on the USS Enterprise. As we go into game number 1, we have the Priest versus the Druid. Now, enough about that. Let's focus on actual reality, shall we? Eddie, of course, is playing a Highlander Priest. You can see demonstrated by the Zephyrs on your screen. And is going up against Monsanto, who has just an absolutely nutty start, especially if you can have Breath of Dreams ramp up with a dragon in hand. So much so, he even threw away with this front loader ramp to get there, TJ.
Yeah. I'm curious. There's a lot of different ways you can take a mulligan, especially when you have guardian animals at the start, but you see a lot of players that just go right towards hard ramp. And Monsanto finds it in the form of wild growth here from the nature studies. So
I mean,
Eddie looks like he's going to match this
ramp too.
Yeah. So one thing to note is Monsanto brought kind of like what's almost seems like an anti-priest lineup. Also happens to be quite good against Turtle Mage itself, as we mentioned in the pre-show. But he has Malagos Druid, great matchup against Priest. He has Turtle Mage, great matchup against Priest. And he has Bomb Warrior, which usually would be a great matchup against Priest, but obviously most of the Highlander Priests are teching to beat Warrior, with especially Eddie, who has Acidic Swamp and Cobalt Sticky lineup. So beating this Priest a couple times early on is actually really important for Monsanto, especially since that's what his deck was designed to do. So with this Malagos Druid, needs to start doing some great things, and Eddie's shaking his head because he sees the Breath of Dreams hit the ramp, and now Monsanto has a nice curve into Guardian Animals, unless he pulls one of the beasts off the top, since Malagos Druid, he's only playing 4 beasts with double Twilight Runner in hand. He only has Teacher's Pet and Lake Thresher still left in the deck.
Definitely a little bit awkward, and could theoretically be something that's very disappointing for Monsanto because, you know, ramp and that card draw does seem to be pretty important as a hand-in-hand component for Druid success. As we have seen even, you know, in the last time we were on broadcast just yesterday, we saw Druid struggle without any card draw. So he's going to have to go through the more honest way, if we can say it that way. Eddie, of course, with the Draconic Studies, has an opportunity to play Twilight Drake right now, but can also invest in future turns. Choose instead for the Plagued Prototype, where he's able to use powerful Death Rattles to make the board sticky against what Druid can be doing right back. Okay.
Yeah.
I also even thought Evasive Warrior might have been interesting,
Yeah.
but he's prioritizing the Proto Drake. What do you think about that?
I honestly also would have preferred the Evasive, just because it's a little bit earlier pressure, and it's very hard to deal with. But I guess the Plague Proto Drake, having that sticking power is really important, because if you stick a board, the only real way that you lose it against this Malagos Druid is like over the top damage, like Malagos copy swipe, or Malagos swipe. And that, I guess, Plague Project gives you some protection against this. I guess Eddie just wants as big of threats as possible. But we'll see how it plays out. He will have somewhat of a dead turn next turn. And Eddie kind of threw his hands up again because Monsanto nearly had a perfect curve and did pull Leg Thresher. We know that that was a guaranteed outcome. But
Right.
Eddie does not. So he's like, oh my gosh, he pulled the Leg Thresher. I'm so unlucky. But now Eddie can use this dragon with the Cobalt Spellkin, but it would eat up his Draconic Studies discount, which means that he would go into next turn without a solid, proactive play available. The other option would be just to play the Wretched Tutor, but again, like Wretched Tutor and Bombing Ritual doesn't touch the board. It's not that fantastic of a play. It does touch the board, but it doesn't kill the board. Maybe it could be good though, because it might force Monsanto to want to deal with it. Because with the Embalming Ritual, the Wretched Tutor will come back with its spell burst still available. Monsanto may not want to have to deal with that, so it's actually a pretty difficult turn.
Yeah, this is definitely tricky, but I agree with this. Capitalize on the strengths of what your curve can offer you, as opposed to just trying to play not to fall too far behind. We've actually seen a lot of players actually introduced with situations like that, and time after time they've kind of showcased that it's better to try to play optimistically in these kinds of situations, as opposed to like, well, I don't think I can win, so I'm gonna play this Cobalt Spellkin, which is extremely mediocre on the board.
Yeah. And
so,
as I mentioned earlier, Monsanto kind of wants to respect this. Just because of, you play a Twilight Runner here, which is likely to be his play. If you let he can't kill it off. Eddie can't kill it off. The Wretched Tutor. I'm worried about like the Spell Burst from the reborn version of the Wretched Tutor.
Right.
Yeah, and because of that, I just want to not let it trade anywhere, because let's say he could trade over it and then Breath of the Infinite, for example. That would be a full clear, nearly. Wow.
TJ, the Apotheosis with the Wretched Tutor, that damage will end up becoming healing, and then Eddie will have a board dominant position, but still he's going to be playing off curve, and if he plays his Cobalt Spellkin, it's not exactly the kind of strong mini that he wants. It's actually interesting too, because the curve will reset, right? So if he plays Cobalt Spellkin this turn, the Proto Drake and Murzon will go back to 8 mana, and Alex Strauss will go to 9. But if he plays the Proto Drake this turn, he might not get an opportunity to capitalize on. Actually, the more I think about it, the more I just kind of like plopping the Proto Drake here on the board.
Well, also
you can't really deal with the Twilight Runner.
The Wretched Tutor Spell Burst has already been used.
Right.
So you would have to find a way to kill it and then use a spell on the reborn version, which is why Monsanto didn't like pre-hero power last turn or trade into it. So honestly, yeah, I think play Proto Drake, just play the biggest thing. Is the best course of action here. Force Monsanto to acknowledge it, but this is 8, 13, 17, 18, 19. Any damage picked up from either Nature Studies or from the attack on Twilight Runner is lethal.
What to do?
Yeah,
any
so
damage that
Iron
costs a
Bark.
certain amount.
There's a lot of outs here for lethal. Monsanto just has a lot of momentum. I still agree with Eddie's play, just because you are in a position where Druid had gotten such a powerful start, and you have the bank on that. Crystal Power and Lightning Bloom. Not any damage source here.
Yeah. So, still anything that deals damage for 3 or less mana.
Time
Nope.
waits for no one.
Okay. He still actually
That's
can
true.
play this Ysera. He would give up the nature study buff, but he still can get that 9-mana minion out.
You too will bloom.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah, I like
is
this.
very cute. This is very cute. I like this.
My dream is your nightmare.
Oh,
This is good. This is really good.
yeah. All right. All right. Is there a way for Eddie to utilize his broom in this this turn here? Murzon feels like it would be the highest value since your opponent just played a bunch of stuff. The thing about it is that I don't think you have a way to capitalize off of it, right? If you play Murzon, you get Omu, but you don't have a spell to activate Spell Burst.
Yeah.
Unless Nature Studies gives you, like, Innervate.
Maybe that's the out. Well, nature studies.
Grades getting low.
Oh! A taunt minion gets in the way here for Eddie.
Wait, he can still
Oh, he can brew him. He can brew him.
Apotheosis, Broomstick, which will give the Restitute a rush, and then he can trade over the. You take the Twilight
Yep.
Runner out, and you take the Omu out. That's
Yeah, but
still
it's not a full.
a lot of healing. Even though it's not a full board clear, that's a lot of healing. Wow, that's actually a pretty good clear.
Jeez. I mean, if you're Monsanto, would you just go for the Alexstrasza aggression here?
Yeah.
If you shut
You-
down your opponent's healing tool with the Restitutor that got buffed by the Apotheosis, then you can actually just continue to aggro. I don't know if I'm super afraid of this Proto Drake just being at an 8-1 right now.
So you would go Alexstrasza, Crystal Power, the 4/1, push 4. So you put Eddie down to 11 with a lot of power represented.
What to do?
I don't know how much I want to keep respecting the board here, considering you saw Apotheosis.
Time waits for no one.
I guess the way I view it is that it's difficult. Your opponent's already demonstrated difficulty dealing with big stuff, and they've already played Zephyrus. They gotta be in top deck mode to deal with your stuff if you end up playing even bigger minions on the board. Okay, so he takes a little bit of a safer route, which can't really be blamed. If he picks up Malygos, he has the Malygos double Lightning Bloom and Germination play, as well as any burst that he sticks onto the board.
Yep. Also,
this
just
is-
sets up lethal with Alexstrasza if Eddie doesn't deal with the board, which honestly it doesn't really look like he is going to, unless he picks up Wave of Apathy from Cobalt Spellkin. But that would be all he would be doing that turn. It would just be delaying the inevitable, but it would give him a turn to pick up Soulmere, something else to try and combat. He doesn't play a natural copy of Shadow and Ruin into list. He's already
Plague of
used Zephyrus.
A simple spell should do.
Plague of Death.
Nah.
Nope, he's dead.
Well, he can go ahead and play these Holy Smites and heal, but yeah, we know that with 17 on the board and Alexstrasza in the hand, Monsanto just has too much board presence. That's going to be a quick game number 1. I kind of anticipate it to be a little bit closer, but I mean, that opening hand from Monsanto looks nigh unbeatable. That's kind of the opening hand that Druids dream of. I guess it's appropriate that he found Breath of Dreams. And Monsanto was already with a cheeky smile. He's happy to start things off with a 1-0 lead. As, you know, it can't really be a rivalry, TJ, if one side keeps winning. So you got to have Monsanto. If you're just cheering for generic rivalries in Hearthstone Grandmasters, and today you're cheering for Monsanto, because the last couple times, it seems like Eddie's gotten the edge over Monsanto. And so you'd want a Monsanto to get that win. Otherwise, it feels like anything he says can just be refuted immediately by the scoreboard.
Yeah. Monsanto said that he kind of regrets trying to pick rivalries because the last 2 rivalries he's tried to pick have been Flies and Eddie. Not the,
Hasn't really
not the
worked out.
greatest. Yeah, not working out super well for him. But that's his lineup is designed to kind of bully that Highlander Priest. So that's kind of the deck that we got to focus on from Eddie to see if he can get a win with it. Because if he can, then his lineup seems pretty well situated. And then the Warrior from Monsanto is the one that maybe we have to worry about. But it's still, I think, on paper favor for Monsanto, all things considered, which is crazy, considering he even had the wrong read. But we'll see. We'll see. Eddie's Tempo Mage up next, which features Archmage Antonitis, which we saw a little bit in the matches earlier in the weekend. Great card against some of the slower matchups, Turtle Mage being one of the big ones. Also good against Priest, but Monsanto was running a Priestless lineup, so not going to really have much effect there. I think Eddie is hoping to corner Priest here, maybe even try and get a little bit of action against the Warrior deck. Because it can also be good against Bomb Warrior to expedite the end of the game, so you don't have to worry about bombs. Oh, Turtle Mage.
All right, Turtle Mage from Monsanto, which is only fitting, right? For people who maybe haven't really had a chance to tune into a lot of the Swiss tournament stage. This was a deck that Monsanto was trash talking, that Eddie was used to destroy tournaments. In fact, Eddie won back-to-back Swiss tournaments off of Turtle Mage, one of them being Specialist, where people can have specific text to try and beat things like Mage. So it was particularly impressive to see Eddie navigate so confidently through what looked like to be tough matchups on paper. And, maybe it'll be fitting if he uses it to beat Eddie's Mage, which is our T-Mobile deck spotlight for today. So a lot riding into this match in terms of the pride and the bragging rights between these two players.
Yeah, there is. Definitely is. Kind of a fun one. And, just to give some context to how much Eddie dominated Swiss and how much Eddie has dominated Swiss, he's made every top 8 since we've introduced Swiss to Grandmasters. This season, he earned 21 points, I believe, out of a total. The maximum number you can earn is 24. Wow, that's absurd. That is absurd. I think I'd have to double check because I don't know APAC. Season 1. That's the most points that anybody's earned across all 3 regions in the 2 seasons of GM.
Right. It's the record. The bar's been set, right? It's a new record. No one's been able to be that consistent in the first 3 weeks. And theoretically, Grandmasters should be the highest level of competition in terms of the quality of players. And I only say theoretically because I think the Master Tour has demonstrated several times over that there's some players who are not in Grandmasters yet that could easily be in Grandmasters, and not only that, but excel, as we have seen some players.
Yeah.
But double potion in there.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Well,
this isn't good.
No, TJ. This is an opportunity. You're right.
This is a test.
As in, this is not good in terms of his primary game plan. But how sweet would it be to beat Eddie with his deck with a double potion draw when Eddie used a double potion draw to win the tournament last week?
Yeah. Also saw ETC win. He didn't draw a double potion, but he won without using Tortola and Pilgrim for the combo. Also saw Warma in Europe on Friday win a game with a double potion draw. So it is possible. It's definitely possible. I mean, it's essentially a tempo deck that is disguised as a combo deck. It's a tempo deck until it needs to combo. Oops, I ran out of tempo. Time to try to combo my opponent out of the game. So the potions now for Monsanto, the question is, when's the best time to use these potions? Like, how much value can I get? What am I waiting for in this matchup specifically? And Prison Preserver is one of the best minions, especially against Mage, because almost all of their minions have 2 or less health, and it makes them not want to go for Sorcerer's Apprentice combos if you always have Imprisoned Observers to kind of delay that. Like here, Eddie wants to develop because he wants to keep pressuring, but he doesn't want to develop anything into imprisoned observers. And he doesn't really want to cast any spells because maybe only cram session. Because all of his spells are like targeted. He doesn't want to target things because he wants to kind of save this cheap stuff for Mana Cyclone.
Yeah, I do think it's okay to have Solarian die so that we can have Solarian Prime shuffled in. So I agree with this. Just ramp up the resources. Still getting some chip damage in, which does end up mattering if your opponent does end up going on tempo line, so you can burn them out. But we shall see, because right now, Monsanto with the double potion draw and the Lore Keeper and the Spears like, hey, would you like these tools? I heard Turtle Mage really likes having these early.
It's almost poetic. Like he drew those almost immediately after he drew double potion. It's like like his deck came to work late.
That's right. That's why you always RSVP. And that's why I always write
like
maybe.
Spear Sapience is like, what are you protecting against? Like, what are you trying to not draw? I guess it could help him, curate the highest tempo draw that he can. So it does have that benefit.
Right.
It's better than Lore Keeper Polkit in that regard. In fact, I don't even want to play Lore Keeper because at this point you'd rather have the cheaper stuff in your deck. You'd rather start picking up spells from Wand Thieves. You'd rather start being able to gain tempo with Firebrand and Wand Makers. Jandis Barav is probably also pretty high on this list just because it's the the highest tempo minion that he can play. So that Lore Keeper probably going to sit on the sidelines for a bit until Monsanto kind of runs out of plays to make and needs it for the 4/5, not for the effect.
Yeah, what I'm curious about is seeing if Eddie can find a way to play around the idea that Monsanto would be playing a normal game plan, and when he identifies a potion or a lack thereof being in the deck, how does he find a way to press for the win? It's interesting to see masters of the deck in Eddie's side, but also how he chooses to beat it. So he's going for Mana Cyclone, finds a couple of secrets, which Flame Ward's okay.
Job's done.
Monsanto finds Cartoot Defender. Tempo, 6-drop on 6.
Yeah, that's true. And it is quite sticky onto the board, but with double potion in hand, I feel like there's got to be something with higher upside.
What to do?
Wand Maker, Wand Thief. Maybe it's more along the lines of what I'm looking for here. I'm curious, honestly, what Monsanto thinks.
I wonder.
What Monsanto wants his game plan to be. I would pick a different card. All right.
Time runs out on me.
Well, he gets the Firebrand. This first potion being utilized with the Imprisoned Observer. Does he want to play both? Okay.
I was thinking you kind of want to spread them out, just so that you're always disincentivizing the Sorcerer's Apprentice turn.
Right.
But
Like every
by doing
turn,
this,
you can't play.
Yeah. By doing this, it means that you can use the second potion to get more Imprisoned Observers back. Because where otherwise you'd have to have one stick, which would be very unlikely. It also means that if Eddie were to want to go for some kind of like burst turn with Mountain Giants and Conjurer's Call, I could make it easier for you to be able to deal with that.
Kind of thinking about how we can utilize Mana Giant while we have it at really cheap cost, but it doesn't seem like... oh wow, finds Arcane Explosion, so we can take out 2 of these threats.
And bait. Could take out the last one.
Yeah, that's true. I do like that. I mean, Monsanto's kind of demonstrated that he wants to play a little bit more tempo-oriented with the aggressive potion. Ooh, Pistol Bully.
I wonder if Eddie's caught on to the double potion now.
What to do?
Because normally he's played one, and normally when you play or you have one potion or played one potion, you're playing Sphere of Sapience only to shuffle the second potion at the bottom of your deck. You're pretty much picking every card that isn't Potion of Illusion. Monsanto is thinking over these choices quite a bit, and last turn he drew a card instead of choosing one, which after one potion is played, gives Eddie a lot of information about how much he's willing to risk drawing second potion if he doesn't have it. Though honestly, I think that Eddie may know that double potion is there.
Definitely seems like there's context clues to help indicate that,
Yeah.
so I think it's a good call out.
Especially since he's played so much of the deck, he kind of understands like the role of Sphere of Sapience and how after one potion is played, you're almost never drawing a new card unless you're offered Potion of Illusion.
Right, that makes sense. Well, the Imprisoned Observers will wake up next turn. But Eddie can go ahead and play his Conqueror's Calling and see what ends up coming out. Alright, some pretty sizable minions and...
Ooh. And Arcane Devourer is the most sizable, if given the opportunity, which in Temple Mage, it's given the opportunity.
Yeah, very much so. We saw that yesterday with Now Get Down series, where he's able to stick a Devourer and just end up growing way out of control.
Yep, I want that one.
Solarian seems very good, especially if you have an opportunity to get multiple Solarian primes out. Legitimate form of a win condition.
So you go for potion here again. You get two. You can get Firebrand, 2 Imprisoned Observers, Bone Wraith, Boom Pistol. That's your last potion. I guess you don't need the Firebrand. You'd rather have the Astromancer Solarian in that case. So you can go Astromancer potion.
Time runs out on me.
Then play double Imprisoned Observer? Or one Astromancer, one Imprisoned Observer?
I will crush
Oh, maybe Eddie did know because he just mouthed the word double potion. Yeah. So, ignore my analysis from the last turn. Eddie wasn't onto it.
Well, maybe he was, but maybe he's surprised to see him play Potion in that way.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, maybe he had a strong idea that that was going to be the case, but he's like, oh, really? You're going to spend your Potion on another Astromancer Solarian? Okay. You know, that doesn't really lead you to any direct results.
Yeah. I'm just going to go ahead and say this is probably lethal.
Seems like it. Frostbolt.
Yeah.
He needs a way to get past these taunts. That's the issue.
Yes. Yeah. So an Arcane Explosion would be enough. He has Evocation as well, but he's actually limited on the amount of space that he can get for Evocation. And because he's not guaranteed lethal here, the Frostbolt is kind of not useless, but it's overkill when you're talking about, well, if I'm pushing for lethal, I'm hitting him for 1,000,000. And also because of that, like, do you even Evocation here to try and figure things out, or do you take it a little bit slower, knowing that your opponent had played double potion? His win condition is to essentially aggro you down. He's not going to win at liquid value, so you can take it quite slow. And by doing this, it means that this is smart. Blizzard. It was smart because only Blizzard is the only card that punishes you. Because it's the only spell in the deck that kills things. That you don't need a board space for.
It's
Just
true.
play double potion. He has Frost Nova and Blizzard. Those are literally the only spells he can even activate Firebrand with. It's, and insane at that point. All right, so, but I do like the setup because if Monsanto doesn't draw exactly Blizzard there, Eddie wins.
He had a 2-turn lead.
Simple as that.
Well, you'd love to see those good plays, even if they don't get rewarded at times.
Yeah.
And Eddie has chock full of them in some of his mage play. Monsanto has the ability to shut off more battle cries with this Boom Pistol Bully. The downside of the Imprisoned Observer is that he's trying to free up board space. If for some reason he's stuck again in board space and he were to be as fortunate enough to, say, top deck Solarian Prime, he wouldn't have board space to play it again. I guess he could ping his own minion one more time, so it's not that big of a deal. Still, though. Seems like he's trying to prepare for 2 turns down the line. Is Eddie going to give up on the Devourer instead? Capitalize on the second Conjurer's Calling.
Yeah. I mean, Eddie's win condition here is just to outlast, just not get fatigued. Haha, another Devourer! And win the game. Wow. Just gets to start over.
Right.
The other was at 15 attack. So, at least he gets a 312 out of it.
Right.
Rush.
We guess Turlion, so Turlion can destroy any minion at the cost, of course, turning into a 3/3. So he's actually improving some of the stats.
Yeah.
The rest of Eddie's hand kind of needs to be tied together through another Sorcerer's Apprentice in a way because of Mana Cyclone and Evocation. And Chinvala. Does seem like Monsanto is finding some opportunity. Oh no, Doomsayer's not super good here. Or is it? Not entirely.
There's nothing he can really do. So, okay, so now Lord Keeper Polkate makes sense because what Monsanto wants to do now is stick a board and then use the Tortolans to freeze. Like, that's it. Use the Tortolans to freeze and then push damage. Like, that's his win condition. And because he's played Blizzard, he has 2 Tortolans, Kartut Defenders, then Jandis. That's his draw sequence. So he's got like big threat, freeze, big threat, essentially. As big a threat as the deck can get.
Well, don't forget one thing, TJ.
Okay, yeah, okay. So
Solarian Prime.
You didn't play the Poke.
Oh, you're supposed to trade and then play it, so that Solarian Prime gets shuffled to the top.
Yeah, you're right. Solarian Prime. So I forgot there's 2. And yeah, you play first, shuffle it in, and now you play the Polkelt. So now, yeah, you're right. Tortolan into Solarian Prime.
You get burned.
Yeah, Monsanto's kind of crafted a game plan here.
Nice.
He can also skip a Tortolan if he wants to get kind of closer to the Solarian Prime if he needs to as well. He still has the Sphere of Sapience up. All right, so a little bit of an annoying state, and also now that Eddie has seen pretty much the hand of Monsanto in the game state, he should be able to predict exactly what's happening. He knows that high likelihood Monsanto draws a Tortolan, since he hasn't really played one when he's had the opportunity to.
Yep.
And then he's going to be getting to the Solarian Primes.
Yeah.
Is it cold in here? Or is it just me?
All right,
wow.
well, the evocation comes out. Oh, he finds another Conjurer's Calling. Yeah. Keep going.
Time runs out on
Ooh.
Doesn't find the
That
best
ain't it.
ones. That was definitely not it.
Oh my goodness.
Jeez. Okay, so 2 Morden. I mean, at least these minions have taunt.
Yeah.
But he knows about Tortolan Pilgrimist that can come out.
Yeah. now you just use the Tortola to freeze.
You're in my hands now.
And then you still can't push any damage this turn. But he will be able to push damage next turn because the second Imprisoned Observer will unleash. And yep, you kill off the Shenvala just to make sure that he can't make some additional 5/5s. Oh, why? He's just... Oh, he doesn't want it to be Conjure's Call again. Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah.
Because even though it's evocation, you still get the second half. That's smart. Yeah, next turn will be Tortola and Pilgrim again. He can freeze again, whatever the board state is. And then push some damage, theoretically, assuming Eddie doesn't have removal. And then, once you do that, then the Slayer Primes are there to close out the game.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, that's the game plan. May not work out like that. Because Slayer... Oh
my gosh. I mean, that is a way for him to also strike back. Solarian Prime could do some really wacky stuff and create boards out of nowhere, as well as deal a bunch of damage. And Puzzle Box the Oxron can do that right back. In either direction, it can actually be the one that kills Eddie, as opposed to help him.
Time runs out on me.
Okay, I wasn't sure if Eddie was a Puzzle Box gamer, but he is. He most certainly is.
He also needs to actually not take damage. This is well positioned by Monsanto to ensure that his minions will end up not doing too much damage. Because we know about the freeze push, right? Like if you place Tortola Pilgrim, freeze and push again, it's going to deal more damage.
Yeah.
Job done.
So from Monsanto's perspective, does he even want this Pilgrim? Like, he could actually just kind of cut to the chase and start playing Astromancer Solarian before Eddie can amount more resources. Because the way Eddie responded to the board just now was pretty weak, right? There's no Ray of Frost to stall for damage. He played Mana Cycle for only like 3. He hasn't been able to really respond in an aggressive way. He's clearing the board this turn anyway. Okay.
Yeah. That's a good point. Alright.
It felt like this was an opportunity to play Solarian Prime for the guarantee of, like, if you play like Fireball, it's gonna target Eddie's face. Well, I can definitely get behind this as well, which is trying to utilize other cards in his hand and save Totem Program as a guaranteed freeze.
Yeah, to protect the board state. Because Solarian Prime can also make board states. Not as often. It relies on Powerful Creation or Deep Freeze, because Conjure's Calling will target an enemy minion if possible. But you can play Solarian Prime. If that builds up a board, you can then use the Tortola and Pilgrim Freeze behind it. So, still a possibility.
Yeah, I do like these Water Elementals off the Deep Freeze. They can provide more roadblocks into that game plan, and also just, bigger bodies to maybe absorb Astromancer Solarian's powerful spells that he can cast.
You're in my hands now.
All right, more damage being
that
pushed.
chip damage in.
Keep in mind, Eddie has no healing in the deck. Monsanto does have healing. This damage just sticks. All right, so there's Mana
He's
Giant.
got the best healing in the game, TJ. Puzzle Box of Yaxaron.
I think Puzzle Box Yasuron is like, all right, desperation. Maybe this is desperation. I don't know. He's at 13. He's starting a lot of damage on board. This mirror image in hand is not protecting him.
Right. And he knows Solarian Prime has been drawn now. I think it actually might be Puzzle Box here. The thing is, it feels so bad if Puzzle Box doesn't clear off the board. You actually died, and you didn't necessarily need to do that.
Oh, here we go.
Puzzle Box. Monsanto with the eyebrow raise.
Bell Guardians.
Oh, destroyed it.
Okay. Savage Roar. Oh, Violet Spellwing.
What? He got another puzzle box. What? He killed the Sun Reaper War Mage. Monsanto might not have this. Depends on if Solarium Prime is able to deal AoE and direct damage. Time to go.
Huh.
Oh no! One of his Tortolans stopped
Wait,
being
wait, wait,
green.
wait, 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 wait! He's. Oh no!
Oh my
Why does it happen?
gosh.
It's less than a 10% chance. Why does it always happen? Every game.
Now it's combustion. Wait, he gave Reborn to the taunt. Oh no. Wait.
Oh,
AoE on the entire board.
oh. Okay, he can attack base. Board is almost clear.
Okay.
Can't even tell what minions those are in the hand. Madame Lazul.
Hand is too full.
In
Oh,
combustion.
Wait, is that a counter spell?
It is a counter spell.
TJ. Dude,
Time runs out on me.
you know what that means? It means Eddie's gonna play Puzzle Box right back. Or if he tries to, he's just gonna get destroyed.
What to do? What to do?
I mean, this isn't even Temple Mage versus Turtle Mage anymore. This is Mage versus Mage. That's it.
Card Mage versus Card.
It's Card Mage versus Card Mage. That's it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a
Favorite
counter
matchup in
spell.
Hearthstone.
And Eddie's at 7.
He's good.
He's gonna play. He's Overlord. He played a Lightning Bloom. His Puzzle Box played a Lightning Bloom.
Oh, you're right. You're right. You're right.
Master of magics.
Wait, why does he have a Tortolan Pilgrim in his deck? Ah, Togwaggle Scheme.
That. All right.
Wow.
Well, that was a game and a half of Hearthstone. That was pretty ridiculous. Monsanto having a hard time not chuckling to himself.
What are you gonna do, Dan? What are you gonna do?
I mean, yet another game where Turtle Mage ends up winning without having to play Pilgrim with their Potion of Illusion from their deck. They're just playing the potion from their hand, finding an opportunity to develop tempo, and getting the win anyways, which goes to show you that there's more to this deck than meets the eye. The primary game plan, of course, does feel bad to lose against sometimes when you feel like your board's getting frozen repeatedly. But that's what's really scary about Turtle Mage, is that it sometimes just wins anyways, despite having its win condition effectively destroyed.
Yeah.
Which goes to show you two things. One, this deck is really powerful. And two, the pilots of these decks, they're pretty good at Hearthstone, right? They have to recognize awkward situations, and I think Monsanto will handle himself really well, despite having an awkward hand.
Yeah, and he crafted a game plan, a very straightforward game plan as far as like practicality. Ended up not being straightforward once your Solarium Prime cast Puzzle Box, but I guess that's part of the game plan, right? Because that's how you win. You need to get a little bit fortunate on the outcome of the one-to-one in your deck that can have a big splash. So well done, and big win picked up for him, because I do think that outside of the Priest, Turtle Mage had the opportunity to struggle. Now Monsanto gets a turn to Bomb Warrior. Depending on what matchup he gets here, I think that's going to be key. If I were Eddie, I would queue Highlander Priest. Yep, because he can't afford to have his mage just straight up lose to Bomb Warrior. He needs to queue Highlander Priest to try and get it, because that's where he has his Acidic Swamp Ooze. That's where he has his Cobalt Sticky Finger. Cobalt Sticky Finger in the hand early. So is Madame Azul. So is Zephyrus. So is Raised Head. All right, Dan, I think we can head on over to game number 4.
We'll see, but I'm pretty sure your analysis is spot on. Cobalt Sticky Finger ×2 with Zephyrus ×2 is really hard to stop for any weapon-based deck, especially Warrior. Kind of funny how Mage, with their win conditions lost, they still entirely have plausible ways to come out on top. Warrior without their primary win condition, though, feels like they really don't do anything.
Yeah. They remove the board, and no,
And
that's
gain
about
armor.
it. Oh, they draw cards.
Kind of. Yeah, they don't even really gain armor the way you think Warrior can do traditionally. They're not super good at it. They still have the risky skipper dynamic where they can gain a bunch of armor in burst, but it's not like the control or odd warrior of the past where you can get so far ahead of life total that you can immediately start playing for fatigue as early as turn 2. I wonder if this Zephyrs actually gives Monsanto a little bit more false confidence. He's playing so quickly. There's really not too much to think about in his camp. I agree with this.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing here for Eddie is that he can get the ramp and curate the pool for Raised Dead. Like, there's no downside to using Zephyrs to ramp here because he just knows that he has the checks, which is pretty absurd. So, like, let's say Monsanto plays Wrench Caliber here in Swing. Eddie Cobalt Sticky Fingers. And Monsanto has to deal with the Cobalt Sticky Finger. And Eddie has exactly 2 minions that have died. He gets back Zephyrs and Cobalt Sticky Finger. Even without the natural ooze in his deck, Monsanto never sticks a weapon for the remainder of the game.
What now?
And he doesn't even have redundancy. He has 1 Horde Pillager. You would have to rely on he always plays 1 Sky Raider as well. You would have to rely on Sky Raider picking up exactly Horde Pillager for that to happen, and doing that before the use is picked up. So Eddie gonna try and get some information, but not really gaining much here.
Yeah, Monsanto makes the read that he thinks if he just plays a weapon, it's going to go straight into Cobalt Sticky Fingers, so he ends up chilling. But the thing is, I don't know what the alternative game plan would be. Is it like play upgrade and get value off of that while you can? Because your opponent's not incentivized to place Cobalt Sticky Finger into your upgrade, and you can kind of get a couple swings off of that. I'm not entirely sure. I guess just largely because it doesn't feel like in our practice games when the situation came up, we were just like, well, we got to play the weapon because and hope that he doesn't have it. It's a Highlander deck. It's a one of. Yeah, you're trying to mulligan for it, but they don't have it every time. So you got to try to play optimistically here because it's like a bad matchup. But maybe Monsanto has an alternative game plan.
Yeah, I mean, you watch the Highlander Priest, whose deck is specifically designed to beat War. Not specifically designed to beat War, but very heavily teched against War. He 3-kept. So you're not keeping that much stuff. Granted, he saw 2 things that were kept, but if he's going to play Zephyrs that much for ramp,
okay,
then you kind of get an idea that he has Raised Dead, and he has 1 more card that he kept his mulligan that he's just not playing. It's got to be Cobalt Sticky Finger or Ooze. So I guess I honestly don't know. I just don't know how you win from this position, like from Monsanto. He is playing Galakron. Like, that's one thing. Maybe you just go for sustained damage in the late game. Maybe you try and shuffle all, like, bombs in at the same time. Like, you go Wrench Caliber, it gets stolen. You play Wrench Caliber again, it gets destroyed. Then you play Horde Pillager and then go. And then weave in 3 damage with Galakron and then Blastmaster Boom with a Whirlwind or with, Whirlwind effect like Risky Skipper to end the game. Like, you do it all in a window. Like, that's the only thing I can think of doing, because if you just try and do that over time, you're just going to get blown out of the game.
I think I can get behind that, which is going for like swing turn of damage. I think what I fail to see is how he's going to deal with the board. Because outside of Shield Slam and Deathwing, if Eddie just starts playing big things, Monsanto doesn't exactly have responses to it. Okay, Anchor is a little bit complicated too with the Horde Pillager dynamic, because you don't necessarily want to get that weapon off either for the Horde Pillager. If it's destroyed, it's going to make the pool worse for your resurrects, your weapon resurrection. We shall see. Better than his Wrench Caliber getting stolen, right? Also, he's waiting out the Raised Dead. which is kind of an important piece of information so he doesn't get the Cobalt Sticky Finger. You know, I actually really like the way Monsanto's approaching this matchup now. He's kind of making it really annoying for the Priest. Kind of like egging the Priest on in terms of like, okay, you have to be the one developing. You got to be doing something here.
Yeah.
The future is
Trina
clear.
Muerte.
Your demise be near.
He's navigating it well, but it's just scary, right? Because you're also taking a lot of pressure. You're taking all this damage.
I wonder.
Which,
Warriors a class that could take it.
Yeah, but his
doesn't feel
hand just
great.
doesn't have the removal at the moment. Like he has Lord Barab, he has Deathwing Mad Aspect. That's it. So if he starts taking too much damage here, and Eddie can keep developing proactively, Monsanto is not ever going to get to a point where he can accomplish this win condition.
Right. I mean, that's kind of what we were talking about before, which is how does he answer the threats of Eddie, right? Like, if Eddie just says, okay, fine, I'm going to take the board and not just play for my primary disruption game plan. I'll just be proactive. Like, Monsanto doesn't have an answer, really, to Dragon Queen Alex draws outside his Deathwing. And, like, if Monsanto draws it and plays it, like, he's going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
And he can also generate threats through Zephyrus. Although I'm sure at this point Eddie is tempted to hold on to that Zephyrus as a weapon check. Oh, wow. Just a little bit off mana from Wave of Apathy, which I guess he already had in his hand, so was still already not considering that dynamic against Captain Greenskin. Oh, yeah? Defensive play from Eddie. What's he thinking, DJ?
I don't know. He's just thinking that, well, why develop more onto this board when the Katrina Muerte is just going to keep resummoning minion?
Right.
Like
and
go
he's
ahead.
healing himself.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes, but if he healing the Katrina Muerte doesn't really do much, because I mean it protects it from a swing from the anchor, but then you still have minions on the board, so he's not going to swing into the anchor if he has some type of board wide removal. So every board wide removal that Monsanto would have here, whether it's like Lord Barab, Brawl, Blade Storm, it would all require something additional in order to kill Katrina Muerte, whether it's at 3 health or 5 health. And healing himself is what keeping himself high health is what's going to prevent against the game plan that we kind of mentioned is what Monsanto's going for, which is a window of burst, right? That window of burst that he wants to go for over the course of like 2 or 3 turns or 3 or 4 turns by shuffling bombs in and accepting that his weapon's going to get stolen and then finishing the game hoping that bonds go off. Being at 27 or 28 or being at 30, that's a pretty big difference.
Well, also, I think, now that I actually see this, the Wave of Apathy and the Cabal Shadow Priest, that's why I think he was okay with the Katrina Muerte dying, because then Deathwing would be at higher health when trading into everything. So he actually had a good target to steal, because he knew that Deathwing was in the hand from the Madame Lazul.
Ah, yes.
Which is very intelligent. This is a very smart play from Eddie.
Yeah.
Utilizing information given to him and capitalizing and kind of baiting his opponent into extending onto the board in what is, air quote, the optimal way, and then being able to immediately shut it down. Well done.
Yeah, he did get information on the second Madame Lazul. Yeah, you're right. I was thinking the first Madame Lazul was like, oh, he only knows that there's a Last Master Boom. The second Madame Lazul did show him. Though, actually gave him a good amount of information, even though Monsanto was trying to, curate the raise to not give him a Cobalt Sticky Finger. Did give him Madame Lazul, which gave him information, which let him make a play like this, which is a very good one. And now, Monsanto is just going to be playing almost completely reactively for the remainder of this game. There's not going to really be too many opportunities for him to go proactive. We'll see, though. Still a lot of game left to play, and Monsanto is just kind of waiting for that burst window. Like he's waiting for, all right, Eddie had a weak turn. I have Horde Pillager. Oh, he's going to go for it now. Okay. He got another Horde Pillager. That was what I... Oh. He has 1 Sky Raider and 1 Horde Pillager. The problem is, he's had an Ankar destroyed, and this Wrench Caliber is just going to get stolen,
Right, not destroyed.
not destroyed. So he needs to draw the second Wrench Caliber. Wait, no. Okay, he is going to. He's gonna bank an ooze right now.
Or Harrison.
Or Harrison, yeah. This is smart because it may not offer ooze later on, and this allows you to get Harrison, which is kind of like an upgraded one.
Ooh.
So now, Horde Pillagers are kind of dead because all he has is an Ankar in the pool, and even if, when he draws second Wrench Caliber, if he draws and destroys it, it's still only a 50-50 that he's going to be able to get it.
What now?
Do you think there was any merit to a play that's kind of weird, like play Wrench Caliber, swing, then play Anchor to destroy the Wrench Caliber so they can't steal it, and then play Horde Pillager in the future turns? Those
I
feel
can see
kind
it.
of like self-sabotaging in a way. You're like
Yeah.
destroying your own weapon. Like, yeah, you can't steal my weapon. I'm gonna destroy my own weapon. But that feels like it would be a play measure. I just wonder if that's too extreme, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're still giving them a weapon to steal.
Right, but I mean, you can see that Eddie had no intention on taking Anchor or destroying Anchor whatsoever. He let him actually draw cards perfectly with it.
Yeah, but if you... yeah, I guess you're right.
I mean, it's just an idea. I
Yeah.
don't know if that ends up being the case here, but Monsanto's just going to go ahead for a Dr. Boom that only summons 2 Boom Bots. What is this, 2014? Monsanto living in the past. Nah, of course, you can't really do much more else besides this, so...
Yeah.
Jokes, of course. I'm also totally okay with Eddie just jamming stuff on the board here, like playing a Dragon Queen plus a Broomstick, or just playing Murazan that summons a Dr. Boom and the Broomstick. Any and either of those seem really good.
He can just play any of his big stuff here, right? And
Yeah.
still be in such a great position. Dr. Boom was pretty much the only thing that Eddie was worried about because, let's say he doesn't draw bombs for a long time. Can't kill Monsanto. Monsanto's able to shuffle a couple more bombs in the deck, and then play Blastmaster Boom, kill him off, Boombot's all hit base, and then he draws Runner Bomb. Like, that was the way that Eddie loses this game. Now it's not possible.
There was another option, actually, but it's very low chance, which is Monsanto's random pirate off of Sky Raider is a Skullball Sticky Finger.
Yeah.
And force Eddie to destroy it. And if Eddie destroys it, then Horde Pillager goes online. But as we know, that window is not possible, given that Monsanto's random minion or random pirate rather, is indeed a Horde Pillager.
Yep.
I wonder.
Which is almost completely useless at this point. He can use it to try and draw further into his deck. To hit the Wrench Caliber. But, I mean, he's actually under a good amount of pressure. And now he's got bombs in his deck as well. Alright, Dr. Krasnov, upgrade, start hitting him? I don't know.
Well, the thing is, he also saw the the Zephyr Speed manipulate to be at 5 mana, then play the Cobalt Sticky Finger instead, which you kind of lend yourself to believe that it's going to be more weapon destruction. So if he double upgrade and invested into that Anchor swings and try to hit for 5 a turn and burst his opponent that way, again, another really optimistic route, which isn't going to amount to much. So I think instead he prefers Eddie to play the weapon destruction on this form of Anchor that got upgraded, then play Horde Pillager and then double upgrade from there. But the issue does seem to be the long-standing problem of does Eddie just kill him because Monsanto doesn't have enough defense.
He's just gonna kill him. Yeah, he's just gonna kill him. Oh man! Now 3 bombs in the deck, right? 2 or 3?
Too many.
Yeah, too many. And that's with the ability to deal with this board, which he doesn't have a guarantee to. He has Brawl, but that may not clear everything. He does have Risky Skipper plus no armor smith. Oh, there's one bomb.
I don't know if there's any other draw that Monsanto can have. I think he might just have to brawl here. If he goes for another cutting class, what is he looking for? And has 6 mana to play
What now?
that can ensure that he survives. Because right now, he's pretty much in survival mode. I guess it's Shield Slam? Because then he can Shield Slam and Risky Skipper?
Yeah.
I must choose.
Yikes.
He's
Not
gotta take the
good.
brawl. And if Murazon wins, then he dies. I guess you could also go Risky Skipper, Armor Smith, Armor Smith.
Right.
Game 2, and then 6.
So he's at 19 with 12 showing. Sorry, 13 showing. Couple ways that he can go about this. You can actually just straight up load up more pressure onto the board because Monsanto has shown difficulty dealing with it. He also could take it slow and like play Wretched Tutor and activate its AoE with the spell and try to just go back to the drawing board. Monsanto does find the Galakron though. Galakron is like a way for you to generate damage in the late stage of the game as the Bomb Warrior uses it as a method to close things out. It's not super reliable from this position, but that might be the only way Monsanto might have an out here, because I don't think the battle cry from Monsanto's Galakron does anything particularly powerful here.
It actually may not do anything at all. I don't even think he has a minion left in his deck. Maybe a Risky Skipper? Oh, but, okay, so there is 24 power on board. Galakron would let him go up to 26. We could see that he would die, but maybe you go upgrade Galakron and then hit him for 7. And that's a pretty big weapon that Eddie doesn't really want to use Harrison on yet because there's still no Wrench Caliber. And then you hope you get some runner bombs and then hit him for 8 the next turn with another upgrade. Because you'd also be hitting him for once with the... Oh, man, I don't know. Maybe you just brawl.
I think it might be upgrade and then hit the Murazon. I know that sounds really bad, but then you can use Blade Storm. Okay, yeah. I think that's a losing play. Loses the brawl, but I mean, that was expected.
Use Blade Storm now, and then
Upgrade and push.
double upgrade to say, just Harrison me. Just do it. Okay, just armor up.
Yeah, I guess what would be the point of upgrading and pushing damage at that point? You're not really threatening enough. And I guess Monsanto really wants to use it as a victory push when he's kind of anticipating more weapon destruction. Like, why would Zephyrus' card not be played up until now? He knows 100% it's Harrison at this point.
I must consider.
I guess from Eddie's perspective, he can really choose to take it slow, but I think he's also been prioritizing healing. I think Ysera here is perfectly fine to play. I think Monsanto's also kind of thinking about... he's only played 1 Wrench Caliber, right?
Yeah, so has one in his deck.
Okay. So, like...
Also has 2
It's a-
Corsair Cash still left in the deck, so...
Right. So Eddie pretty deliberately extending onto the board here. Trying to be Ysera can pick up a really powerful opportunity. Nightmare is interesting. That's first. Oh, jeez. Well, Shield Slam is great, and maybe an opportunity for him to now play Galakron.
Yeah.
Start pushing damage. I mean, Monsanto's actually found a way to somewhat threaten.
Yeah, there's no minions in his deck.
Still been quite
Well, he didn't play-
impressive.
Yeah. He didn't play the upgrade, though, so... I wanted to play an upgrade on the Ankar just to get recurring damage in. Because Eddie's not going to use his weapon removal. He's shown that he's not going to use his weapon removal.
I think he wants to use his Horde Pillager next turn. I think he's completely given up on Wrench Caliber, right? It's like the idea is that you play Anchor and then you play Upgrade. Then if Eddie doesn't use his Weapon Destruction, you've gotten 6 times 3, 18 damage. Because the Upgrade will give Anchor, make it into a 3/3.
Yeah.
And then you get 3 extra damage every turn. Now that's optimistic. To assume that you have 3 turns to swing to the face and there's not like any minions being played right back. But so far, that optimism is paying off, and Monsanto's made this a lot more competitive than I anticipated it to be. I mean, at the very beginning, TJ, we were jokingly saying like, let's go to game number 4, but
I mean... I still don't think it's competitive. Like, it's just taken a long time for Monsanto to lose.
interesting. Using his penance on his own, so he's basically anticipating a full aggro plan, and is hedging around that.
Loot?
And he's completely right.
I asked for.
Yeah, I mean, Monsanto, I'm pretty sure Monsanto's last cards are Corsair Cash, Wrench Caliber, Bomb, Brawl. And Eddie has 1 bomb in his deck. Oh no, he drew it.
So if he knows that this is the last potential minion, then shouldn't he just destroy it? I guess he's destroying the Galakron. I was thinking about Holy Nova, but it seems like Eddie's tired of playing the waiting game, just going to be more proactive.
Yeah. There it is.
Really tempting Eddie to use his Harrison Jones.
At this point, I feel like he can, because he still has a natural ooze in his deck.
It's true, and he does save 8 life.
Actually, Eddie doesn't have to. He doesn't have to do this. He doesn't have to Harrison this. He could just make a taunt, right? With Crocs?
I don't believe he's holding a dragon.
No, I mean, he doesn't have to Harrison. He can just Crocs for a taunt.
Oh. I was paying attention to the Dragon Ball cards. But yes, you are correct. You can play an 8/8 dragon and summon it.
Oh, no, he's going to Harrison. Alright. So that's what Monsanto wanted. There's the last bomb. There's the ooze. Alright.
The only bomb, TJ.
That's the only bomb. No, there was 2 bombs that shuffled in, right?
No,
Nah, never
he
mind.
shuffled 1 in and then played Dr. Boom, but...
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, but
Alright,
then the ooze!
now this gets oozed. And that was the last push.
Yeah. Nice try by Monsanto. It was a really good effort. I mean, it's actually... Is this lethal?
It might be lethal.
Forget just even all that, right? Just the idea that he just kills him with
lethal.
Crocs.
doesn't even need to use.
He tried.
Yeah. Wasn't even close.
It wasn't. I mean, it got closer than I thought it would be. Like, if this was a high score contest, I would say that Monsanto definitely posted one of the best that you could possibly do, knowing that you would lose. So this is like, Monsanto's roguelike, if you will. It's like, all right, I'm going to try again and see how far I can go this time. He got Priest down to like 17 health instead of just kind of getting blown out 30-0.
Yeah, I suppose. 17 health with 0 bombs in deck, though. That's really far away.
It
That's
is.
like-
The Gallagher, like, if he didn't have the ability to kill him, which is also kind of surprising, right? Like, we were kind of talking about, like, if you just play minions, this Bomb Warrior deck, when it runs out of removal, can't actually do anything to, like, a single 8/8. That's kind of what we were hinting at the very beginning.
Yeah.
It was actually kind of surprising to see how little Eddie could do proactively for such a long time. And I think it's because his game plan was primarily crafted for reactive disruption.
Yeah.
Well,
which has worked out, but it can be a little bit of a headache against some other decks. But Monsanto still needs to find win with the Warrior. Has 2 a little bit better matchups coming up with either Tempo Mage or the Survival Druid. But it will be Tempo Mage for Eddie in the what could be the decider match for the series. Monsanto just needing one more win. Not the greatest opening hand for both players. Pretty mediocre. Lab Partner makes that a lot better with a Cram Session already in hand.
Very much so. Cram Session and Lab Partner seems to be a really important building block for many of these decks. But Eddie prioritizing, just going for that curve there. You can always use Cram Session later in the game, but Wand Maker's usually really good here early as well. Especially if Cram Session has the opportunity of maybe drawing more than 2 cards. As he finds Arcane Intellect on 3. Wow. So, how does Monsanto choose to deal with this? This is actually kind of annoying. I think he's just going to go ahead and play his own draw card.
Yeah. So nothing really to do for Monsanto except to just keep reacting and trying to draw cards. But Eddie has just been able to say, all right, I'll just play whatever I want. Al gets to draw with Cram Session. Oof. A lot of cards in hand. Eddie's just continuing value. He's got Raz to follow this up for a lot of pressure if Monsanto doesn't deal with this board. Second Risky Skipper drawn. Oh boy. No Corsair Cache. He plays 2 of them. No weapon at all with, Horde Pillager in hand. Drawing all of his expensive stuff. Drawing Pirates when he doesn't have Anchor. This is not good. This is not good.
Yeah, it might have to just be Shield Slam and move on with your life here. I don't really anticipate Risky Skippers to come out. Even though they could clear the board, it just doesn't feel good to drop them in this way. You can't really leave up too much power on the board. I think some people may wonder why bother using Shield Slam on like a 2-drop like that when you can save it for other really big targets. If you just let 6 power stay on the board, you're never going to build up enough armor for that to be relevant. And the amount of damage that you would save over the course of a few turns anyways is equivalent to killing like an 8/8.
I wonder.
I don't mind Raz here.
Yeah, Sorcerer's Apprentice is in the hand with a bunch of opportunities to make it really powerful too.
Yeah.
Instead of Raz, you can go
minions.
wide. It's true.
I guess you could go wide here with like Wand Maker, Wand Thief.
Right. Violet
Maybe
Spellwing.
bank an Arcane Missiles with Violet Spellwing to try and make it so that you don't have to have enemy minions to go with Mana Cyclone.
Right.
Raz, though, on 5 with spell damage already on board. You're pushing 5 damage this turn. You just used the Shield Slam. Your Brawl isn't that effective. You're protected from Blade Storm. just feels like it isn't getting much better.
Yeah, I agree. Raz is just like a big threat that you have to constantly deal with.
Yeah. Because Monsanto has to brawl this. He has no other answer. And if Raz sticks, then... Okay, Raz didn't stick. But even then, it's pretty lackluster brawl considering like Mana Giants. All right, now we can go wide. As Double Violet Spellwing. Wand Thief.
Mirror Image.
That is the most insane Sorcerer Apprentice Mana Cycling that I've ever seen. Not ever seen. That I've seen in a long time. Because he's going to get 2 Arcane Missiles back from this. The problem is, like, he just doesn't have things to play it on. But at this point, I'm picking Mirror Images just so I can kill my own Mirror Images. With Arcane Breath and Ray of Frost and Brain Freeze. Like, trade those Arcane, or those Mirror Images in for other mage spells. Alright, finally, Corsair Cache. Something for Monsanto to do. Actually, he's just probably not going to do anything here. Just hit him for 7. Oh, okay, or play an 8/8. That works too.
I mean, your opponent did show a brawl, so there's less removal options. He's going to run into hand space issues as well, and in the end, he's going to want to play Mana Giant anyways, so feels like that's an opportunity for him to just go for it. I like it.
So, I wonder if you go for second brawl here, or if you go Risky Skipper plus Lord Barov to get Ankar online. Start swinging. Or alternatively, at this point, is it even worth playing Ankar?
I think he wants to kill the Giant. Stop any Conjurer's Calling opportunity.
Yeah, I suppose.
Because that would make
Well, I mean, Lord
situation
Barov Risky
bloated.
Skipper also kills the Mana Giant.
That's true,
Guaranteed.
but it does feel like... What do you play beyond that, though? Lord Barov, Risky Skipper, and then what?
Ankar.
Oh, to draw the card.
You just do exactly this, except you don't use the coin. You Lord Barov Risky Skipper, and then use the coin.
And then hit
But
the
I guess the
8/8.
coin's not super valuable in this matchup. I was just worried about, well, what happens if the Mana Giant wins the ball? But I guess that's, that never happens on average. So, all right,
Well,
here we
okay,
go.
if he ended up playing the Lord Barov, well, yeah, we can watch the fireworks here. I feel like he would have been limited on mana.
Okay, so he's not using Sorcerer's Apprentice here. He's just going to cash in on Mana Cyclone. First,
Yep.
look for burn. Nope.
Okay, now, because Monsanto had drawn Sky Raider, there's a chance he drew Captain Greenskin, which is why I guess, like, I wasn't exactly sure about the Lord Barov play previous turn. I think it makes a lot more sense when you have those guarantees. Also, the Blade Storm. I was kind of thinking of a Risky Skipper here. If you swing, you do get... Yeah, you should be able to clear because you're guaranteed to draw either Captain Greenskin or the other Sky Raider.
He only plays one Sky Raider.
Oh, apologize, looking at the wrong deck list. Well, in that case, it's Captain Greenskin here, then. He has Horde Pillager in hand.
Ooh, that's
Okay,
nice.
That works.
Little bonus.
Synergy.
Bonus pirate. He's got all the cheap spells in Sorcerer's Apprentice, but no payoff. Okay, Candace Brav, Mana Cyclone. All right, now he's got the payoff. So at this point, it's basically like find Mana Cyclone or find Solarium Prime. Those are the two things that he's looking for with these types of plays. Also, holding on to Sorcerer Apprentice has value in this matchup specifically, especially with a lot of cheap spells, because you can go Archmage Tonight, which is playing in the deck, then Sorcerer Apprentice, and then dump all these 1-mana spells that he has. Especially considering Eddie pressured so much early that Monsanto's already at 14 health. So a couple burn spells, and this game is done for. Monsanto still has yet to pick up a Wrench Caliber, finds the first one. And
okay,
no pirates left in the deck, so I'm just overriding this and starting to get Wrench Caliber swings in. I'm going to be real honest.
It does seem like this is an okay spot to be in, though, because Monsanto has the ability to gain a bunch of life with the Armor Smith. So I don't think I'm sweating it too much if I'm Monsanto.
I must choose.
Maybe. It's just so late in the game that he's getting his he's starting to get his bomb shuffled in. Eddie's been able to just do whatever he wants up until this point with 0 repercussions. Usually you don't want to draw too aggressively because the bomb warrior is shuffling a lot of bombs in. And you want to start pressuring. But Eddie's just like, I'm just going to draw every card. I don't care. I'm not even going to use my Sorcerer Apprentice. I'm going to get greedy, hold on to it. First bomb. All right, time to go. Nope, just going to play Jandis. He must be really holding on to this Sorcerer Apprentice for Archmage Antonitis.
Ooh, Alar. Summon a 0/3 Ashes of Alara that resurrects this minion on your next turn. So you could get, you know, a lot of value of pressuring your opponent. I've tried to make Alara work a lot of times. It just was not a thing, unfortunately. But off of Jandis, maybe useful.
Time runs out on me.
I don't really think this decision matters too much here. Okay.
Another arcane missile.
Straight up burn.
Yeah, just wants damage to end the game here because I think he's identified that Monsanto wants to... Ooh, Blade Storm. Monsanto wants to clear everything off and start going face. Risky Skipper and Armor Smith.
Yep.
Seems like the time to play, especially with you Captain Greenskin ready to go. I think he was anticipating the Cobalt Spellkin to potentially survive, which is a good call from Eddie because now if Monsanto wants to clear with his weapon, he has to swing and take 7 as opposed to 3. I think that was what Eddie was thinking about.
Yeah, or else use the Risky Skipper second Risky Skipper Captain Greenskin to clear off and then swing into the 0/3. Also killing off much of his board. Alright. Well, Monsanto is starting to run out of removal a little bit here. He's used both Brawls. He has 1 Blade Storm, and he has the Lord Barav and Deathwing, and that's it. Like, all the removal is in his hand. But with how much damage he's going to start to rack up here, that will probably be enough. Now he's at 28 life. Now Eddie finally has a minion to target things with, so it can go off with this Mana Cycle. I might even go even further. It can go Evocation. Looking for Burn. He picked up a spell from the hand. Deep Freeze, okay. No Mana Cycle. Just gonna go Mana Giant. Oh, this is smart. Yeah, both Brawls have been used. Freezing the face, a lot of value.
Ooh. Well, now Monsanto can just clear this off.
Yeah.
I don't know. This looks pretty good from Monsanto's perspective.
Yeah.
I really
don't
like the way he's
know.
navigated this.
Yeah, like Mana Cyclone. I don't know, because Eddie still has the Slayer and Prime left in his deck. That one's tough. But now his Mana Cyclone essentially stranded. Maybe not so much anymore with double Ray of Frost. But still, it's not going to be nearly as much value.
A charming composition.
All right, well, Eddie has to find Burn, so Arcane Intellect, or find some way to generate threats. Ooh, bomb being drawn. I mean, this is looking more and more like Monsanto has full control over what's happening. And the Galakron can really accelerate that game plan here. I'm super tempted to drop this Deathwing and kind of send this Wrench Caliber upstairs, but I think he's considering Galakron as well, because then you can use the Deathwing to clean up afterwards. I guess what I want to make sure to avoid is any kind of way for Eddie to truly punish me by leaving up a spell damage minion on the board.
Yeah. Is this guaranteed? It's either Dr. Boom or Dr. Krasinov, I think. Right? Those are the only two minions left in deck?
Yeah.
Yeah, Blastmaster Boom and Dr. Krasinov.
Wow.
He actually had
Well,
an Armorsmith too, I believe.
Yeah, this does seem like Monsanto's kind of just big chillin'.
What do you
Cold in here, or is it just me?
are you just like Ray of Frosting all your own stuff here? Like
Sure.
just chuck a bunch of Ray of Frost at the freeze all your minions and throw the rest of the Ray of Frost at the Shenbala? I guess you only really need two because you'll stop at one 5/5 here.
Right.
And then you can Mana Cyclone to refill. Malagos 2, the biggest minion. You've seen Brawl. You've seen both Blade Storms. Only removal left for Monsanto is the Deathwing.
Right. And Eddie knows about it. This Mana Cyclone's going to try to give him at least 2 more spells to play, summon another 5/5. Those are 2 playable spells, Arcane Missiles.
And
I actually don't know how viable Spellbreaker is against Bomb Warriors. They only play, I think, Shield Slam.
he does have one Shield Slam left, though, I believe. So it'll guaranteed eat up the Shield Slam at some point in the game. Because that is the only targeted removal. So when you can guarantee, like, that Spellbender should read Shield Slam will hit a 1/3 instead of whatever your opponent targets with it. That's pretty good. For 2 mana that you got randomly, free. Very specific card text, but you get my point. And now Deathwing won't even clear the full board. And Power of Creation's in hand for Eddie.
It can, if he chooses to play Hero Power onto the minion and then Deathwing.
Yeah.
There's a reasonable chance it actually does clear the board.
Yeah, if you Hero Powers the minion first, you're right.
I think at this point...
Time is fleeting.
But...
No, there's no but. I was going to say, if you kill off too much and then Deathwing survives, then Mirror Entity becomes difficult. Now, it may not clear everything, but has a chance to. Monsanto kind of wants it. He doesn't want it to survive. Okay.
Ooh, got every minion. That's kind of why he picked things like Malagos. Oh, these are some interesting choices. Blatant Decoy is pretty annoying for Monsanto because it's like a battle cry that he wants to capitalize on. And then Evasive Worm are just hard to remove. And you can also just pick the best stats.
Yeah, I think best stats at this point is the best because who cares about hard to remove? There's no removal left.
Well, Evasive Worm is like, it goes one step further. It's like hard to swing into at all. So it's just like it has Divine Shield. Like, what do you do to try to,
Yeah.
to remove
That's
it?
true. Yeah, hard to remove with straight up removal doesn't matter, but hard to remove by like having to attack into it. That is
Runs out on me.
important.
Right. Krasnov also doesn't have a kill.
All right, blatant decoy it is. And an arcane missiles when you get that free
Ooh.
Malagos.
Yeah. I like the arcane missiles. Oh, he picks up the
Aw.
memorial studies. Okay.
It would have been so much damage. There is 2 bombs.
I think he's looking for Solarian. Actually, makes Solarian at this point.
Yeah.
I think in his mind, he really needs to be bailed out by these late game scenarios. It's been kind of a long series here, as Eddie, you can see how intense it feels on his side. We're almost at the 2-hour mark of this best of 5.
Yep.
What if?
Monsanto kind of debating right now if he has an opportunity to play around these blatant decoys whatsoever, because he's been wanting to play like Reg Caliber. I think what he needs to avoid is have Dr. Boom pulled out for minimal value. Still annoying because your opponent would still get a 7/7. So it's not like you're super happy to see Dr. Boom pulled out. So Eddie,
The synergy.
Malagos Graham session.
You draw 6 cards.
And
Which
then
would deck
every
him out.
bomb,
Every bomb, it would also draw the
shuffled in.
Solarian Primes, though.
Yeah, that's true. But then Solarian Prime has a pretty decent chance it draws cards as well. This is
Oh my,
What?
he can get 2 Malagos with the blatant decoys. 2 free Malagos. Wait,
Treasure? Loot? What more can I ask
oh, because he wants to cram session. Okay, I was like,
Right,
why would you just pick the bigger ones? Because he
yeah.
wants the Solarian Prime. Okay, so there was 2 Solarian Primes in his deck. So there's the last 2 bombs.
Runs out on me.
That's what Monsanto wants. He wants that burst. Here's the Solarian
He needs
Prime.
to
Oh
see
my
it.
gosh.
This is
I mean,
very
effectively all
late.
comes down to this.
He can't wait any longer. He took a little bit too long, I think. So he has to watch the resolution after the timer, but he's killing a lot of the minions.
Dr. Krasnov is an 8/8 because it was drawn. That's game.
lethal. Wait, vaporize.
I mean, all you have to
if-
do is attack with one of the boom bots
Yeah, but there's a chance he messes this up, TJ.
first. I mean, what? So if it's ice barrier,
Okay. I mean, we
It was
know
Spellbender.
it's Spellbender, but it's just like,
Yeah.
Alright, well, that's gonna do it. Monsanto able to win 3-1 and give Eddie a rare loss in season 2 of Grandmasters. And you can see how
is so
happy
happy.
he is.
He's
Oh,
so
yeah.
happy.
He has
Oh
his
my gosh.
240 characters prepared, and he's ready to drop it in about 30 minutes or so. That's how long the delay is.
He put Turtle Mage in his lineup and then beat Eddie. He's got to be feeling real good. Real good.
That's
But
right.
Yeah, I mean, that was a very awkward bomb warrior hand to start off with. Didn't get bombs until late, but honestly, he made it work out for him because he just kept removing everything that Eddie played. And, you know, there's some arguments like, did Eddie need to go all in that quickly? Like, he played a Mana Giant on a board that was already pushing almost 10 damage a turn. Was it necessary? Could you have forced the brawl before that and then saved Mountain Giant? You know, those types of questions, like missed opportunity with to go really fast into the game to try and get more burn spells more quickly. So did kind of play it slow, and that played like too fast at times, too slow at times. That played right into how Monsanto wanted that game to go with how awkward his opening hand was.
That's right. That's right. So we are we're done with our first match. We have 5 for you today. So, we are very much in for quite the marathon, if that is any indication. Coming up next, we have Nalgidon versus Zalay. So we're going to take a few minutes and get set. And when we come back, we're going to get with match number 2 here for Hearthstone Grandmaster of the Americas.
Hearthstone Grandmasters is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network. T-Mobile,